Hey everyone, welcome to this particular section. So here we are going to discuss regarding the various CLI modes and the CLI commands that we normally type in FTD. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So my expectation is for the learners who are going to do some troubleshooting inside an FTD and work with the CLI commands. What are the basic commands the learners should or the engineer should type in, and how to use those particular modes properly. Okay, so when we talk about CLI, okay, so if I say FTD CLI methods, so first thing first, when you want to log into your FTD or FMC, so we can have multiple ways. So you can use SSH client method to access the CLI of either FTD or FMC. Okay, that's the first thing. Uh, so once you use SSH or you use direct console connection, you might also use telnet. So the method that you use to get access to the CLI, either via direct console connection or via SSH, etc. Once you go there, then your job is to log in, and the default username and the password, as you all know, it's the username is going to be admin, and the password is uppercase A, that is admin123. Right now, when you log into FTD, that is when you log in to your Firepower Threat Defense, we'll see there are multiple modes that is available. Okay, and basically multiple modes means you have got multiple CLI commands, right? So multiple modes, and basically it means multiple CLI commands, right? So the first mode that we talk about, so let's say what are the different modes you have. The first, we have got three modes. Okay, there are actually three modes. The first mode that is called as the clish mode, that is CLI SH clish mode. We also call as clish CLI, or sometimes it is also called as regular FTD mode. Okay, so basically when you log in, you will find that there is a greater than symbol in the CLI. So whenever you log in, if you see there is greater than symbol in the console, that means it's called as a regular FTD mode or the clish mode. Okay, so generally we go to the CLI, we use the clish mode often for doing regular management configurations and regular troubleshooting commands. Right, so by default, when you connect using SSH or by using direct console access to the FTD, you will be actually going and accessing the, this is the default mode, which is called as the clish mode. Clish, normally we call that as command line interface shell. Okay, so it is called as command line interface shell, that is clish. All right, so, and it is also, you can say this is the default mode. Okay, now basically in the clish mode, you have all sets of commands that you can actually type in, right? And this is one of the most widely used mode in FTD by the engineers. So when you log into, let us say FTD over here, I'm using my previous topology of VPN. So this is my FTD login. Let me log in there with the configured username and the password. Here we go. So once you log in here, you see this, there is a greater than symbol. So this greater than symbol, it indicates that this is your clish mode or regular FTD mode. Now here, whatever commands that is available, you can actually view that using a question mark that is called as a help key. And you can see the commands that you can start with, right? A lot of commands that you can start with. Ping, regarding host, shutdown system, a lot of commands that you can start with. So likewise, mostly you'll be using either configure command or the show command. So if you want to use a show command, so give a show, and with the space, you can see the multiple commands that comes after show. So if you give a question mark, there are multiple show commands that can be accessed, right? Show accessed, I mean, thousands of show commands that you can type in, right? So the common commands basically we use as show running config, and after that you can use a space and verify after show running config, what are the extra commands that you can type in. So show running config, give a question mark, and after that you can be very specific that what filter you want to use from that running config output, right? So it's show running config zone, let's say, for example. That will show me, if any zones are configured or not. Okay. Likewise, show running config, instead of timeout policy, instead of xlet policy, etc., etc. Okay. Or similarly, if you give only show running config, it will show you the current configuration that is available in the FTD. All right. Likewise, important commands are like show interface IP brief. Give it a sec. Show, and I can use space bar to autocomplete. So show interface, if you give 2 times space bar, you can see the after show interface what are the commands that you can type in, right? Show interface detail, show interface IP status summary regarding redundant interface or BVI, etc., etc., right? Show interface tunnel. So show interface, let us say IP brief. Here we go, and you can see the different types of interfaces we have in this particular appliance, the configured IP, the status, the methods, the blind protocol status, etc., etc. All good. Now, likewise, you can give the command show route to see the routing table, and if you use space twice, you can see, what are commands that you can type in after show route. So show route all, show route respective to certain protocols like BGP, connected, yeah, GRP, respective to some interface, management only routes. So show route, let's say management only. If I do so management, if I do show route management only, okay, so it's not showing right now. Show route all, it will show me the complete routing table. Okay, so it has got default route, it has got connected route. If I would have configured some OSPF over here, you might have seen that OSPF is configured, but other devices are not powered on here. Sorry, this is the VPN topology, so no protocols are running here, right? But if any protocols are running here, you can see that output as well. So likewise, you can give the commands, multiple show commands. For example, one of the command commands that you can type is show firewall. So when you say show firewall and hit enter, it will show you what is the current firewall mode. It is running either in routed mode or transparent mode. And we've discussed that earlier. So it is either a layer 3 device or it's a layer 2 device, right? Now, if you want to use the logs, so for example, the saved logs command would be show logging, and use multiple spacebar to see what all extra commands you have after show logging. When you hit enter, you can see the device log facilities. So how many logs the device can take in, etc., etc., and what are the logging facilities that is enabled here. Um, and likewise, if you can see show managers with spacebar, if you see show managers, you can see which FMC this FTD are registered. So you can see the IP address and the status is completed. So it is, talking to the FMC, right? So different types of show commands that you can type in, guys, right? And likewise, if you want to configure the management IP or do some sort of changes, you'll use the configure command. So use the command called as configure. Then again, spacebar, multiple commands that comes after configure, right? So configure, firewall, configure network, configure policy, SSH, protocol, password, a lot of things, right? So let's say I want to configure the management IP to something else. So in that case, configure network, then IP version 4. I want to do it either static. So if you give, spacebar here, you can see you can delete the previous command. You can make it through DHCP. You can make it through manual, etc., etc. So I want to make it through manual. Then give the IP address of your choice. So 192.168.1. Example 70, say 76. Then give the mask, and then give the default gateway 100.1. Right? So I don't want to change the IP to 76. I want to make it, say, I'm just showing an example. So if you want to change it, you can do that over here. Say, let it be 75. And this is the mask. This is the default gateway. Oh, my default gateway is wrong. Absolutely. So I'll get an error over here. Since my default gateway, by mistake, I've entered it wrong. So it's a 1.1. Here we go. All good. Okay. So this is the command by which you can change the management IP address if you want through CLI. So during initialization, you set up the management IP, as we all know. But what if you want to change the management IP after it has been initialized on a live firewall, right? This is the way you do that. Okay, settings has been changed. Likewise, if you want to change the device host name, you can do that. So configure network, host name, then give the different names. For example, this is FTD site 1, um, something like that. Of your choice, you can change the host name like that. Give it a sec for the change to take place. Here we go. Likewise, if you want to, add the manager, so command will be configure. I think all of you know that. So it's configure manager add, then give the manager IP, which is say one dot. In my case, it is. It was actually by mistake. What I've done is I've added the management IP as .75 over here. I should actually go and change that to 51 because that's my FTD IP. There we go. And 75 is my manager. So let's not change that. Just a second. Here we go. Changes has been taken place. Now, if you want to add the manager, so it is configure manager add, then give the manager IP. In my case, it is 1.75, and give the key to register. It is CISCO 123 in my case. All good. And if you want to delete, so it is already configured, yeah. So if you want to delete existing stuff, so you can say configure the added manager. So configure manager, then give a question mark, or you can say multiple stuff. So configure manager local, edit or delete, or you can add a new manager. So let's see if I want to delete that. Just give a question mark or space. So this is what I mean. If you hit enter now, it will prompt you to delete this particular manager that you've been working with or added with. Okay. So I mean, most of the things. And likewise, if you want to change the mode of the firewall, so from routed to transparent, you can do that. So command is configure uh, firewall, sorry, configure firewall. And if you use double space, you can make it either routed or transparent. So if you want to make it transparent, you can do it in that way. All right. So this is one thing. So basically, on my clish or the regular FTD mode, this is the default mode. We can use multiple, configuration commands, multiple show commands. So just, let me type in. So for example, show logging, show route, and you can give double space or question mark after those commands and see what all next commands are available after this. Likewise, show running config, show interface IP brief, show firewall, etc. Right? Likewise, for configuration, you can say configure firewall, let's say routed or transparent. You can say configure. There's one more configure manager, say delete. Okay, there is one more show command that I can type over here. So it is, show managers, which is very common command, just to see which FMC is registered with. Configure manager delete to delete your existing manager that you've added. Likewise, if you want to add the manager, so it's configure space manager space add. In my case, it was .75 with CISCO 123 as the password. Likewise, if you want to configure the host name, so it's configure network space host name, and then the name is basically say FTD1 hyphen site1, whatever name of your choice. And if you want to change the management IP, it will be configure network, IP, say version 4, say manual, and then the local IP is 1.51 in my case. Then I can give the mask of the choice, and I can say 192.168.1.1 as the default gateway, right? So this is the most important commands that you can type in the clish. Now the next mode that we have, the second mode, it is called as the Lina mode. Okay, Lina mode, or sometimes it is also called as the diagnostic CLI mode. Now basically it is the ASA engine, the firewall engine that is running over here. Lina stands for Linux over ASA. That is called as Linux over ASA. That is Lina. It is also called as diagnostic mode. Okay, also known as diagnostic mode. Now this is the feeling that we'll be getting, the way you are going to use a regular ASA and you have been working with regular ASA for long. The same feeling you'll be getting it over here. Okay, so to enter this particular mode, we have to use the command to enter Lina mode. So the command would be system support diagnostic hyphen CLI. Okay, now this is basically used for advanced troubleshooting, or you can see like if you want to use all the ASA commands and work with FTD. So this is the mode that you can want to enter with. Okay, so this CLI will have two sub modes. So this Lina CLI should say the Lina CLI have two sub modes. So one of the sub mode is called as um, user mode, that is user executable mode, as you are aware of, and the other one is called as the privilege mode, right? So basically when you want to enter that, you'll be normally entering to the user executable mode. From there, when you type enable, you'll go to the privileged mode, same like you have used the ASA feature or the ASA CLI syntax. So let's use this particular command, so system support diagnostic CLI. Let's use that. So now if I go to my FTD, which is FTD1, and say from here I give the command system support diagnostic CLI and hit enter, and you can see that you are seeing the host name over here as FTD site1. So the greater than symbol before that, if there is a host name, this is basically the Lina mode. This mode that you are seeing here, it is basically the Lina mode. Okay, now here whatever commands, the same like ASA, right? Clear, connection, enable, exit. So whatever ASA command line you are used with, the same command syntax you can type in over here. Likewise, enable, by default ASA doesn't have any passwords. You can just hit enter in the CLI, and then you can use all the regular commands like show route, show interface, IP, brief, whatnot, show uh, running config, right? All the regular ASA commands that you are used to, you can do that. Okay, fantastic. And for example, show name if the common stuff, show name if to see which are the names that was given to the interface, um, and yeah, I mean, whatever commands that you want to use as per the ASA, right? So go back. If you want to go back, it is exit multiple times, 2 times to go back to your clish mode. Okay. The third mode is basically called as the expert mode. So the expert mode is used only for documentation purpose, or if you are a Linux person, so or if you are actually informed by Cisco TAC team to go to the expert mode and dig some commands and give them the output. for doing some sort of resolution of your ticket, only with that cases, right? So most of the times you will either work with, the clish mode or the Lina mode, but the third mode, just to make it you guys to be aware of, is called as the expert mode, right? Now to use expert mode, make sure that if only you are, advised to log into that expert mode, do that. Otherwise, don't use it. Or if you are familiar with, Linux command lines, Linux, commands and its output, then you can use it. Okay. So to log into the expert mode is very simple. So from the clish, just type the command expert. Okay. And then you can use, you know, you will log into the expert mode over here. You will find a dollar symbol, and then you can move to the super user privilege, and you can try using that. Okay. So very simple. So let's go ahead and show that to you. So here it is, expert. Okay, and you can see that the name starts with the user who is logged in, that is admin, at the rate the host name, followed by a colon, a tilde with a dollar. Okay, this means the current directory that you are into. Right now, if you give sudo space su, it asks you the password. Let me enter the password, and I'm currently the super user. Okay, now from here, if I want to go back to the CLI, I will use the command clish. Okay, or if I want to use some Linux command, I'll say dash help. Yeah, it's only help here. So with only help, you can get all the Linux command and you can start using it if you're familiar with. All right, so if you want to go back, it's clish, then you go back to the regular CLI mode. Okay, so I hope this is all clear. I mean, so far you understood what's the concept behind the CLI and how to use the regular CLI modes, what are the different types of it. I'll ensure that I'll share you this particular note. If you have any doubts, you can reach back to me. I hope it is clear. I thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next section.